Good day, buddies. Welcome to another edition of Barn Burner, Boomer, Pinder, and Rhett Warner, as we are really coming from differing locales today. The lovely metropolis of Buffalo, New York, my
Beautiful.
studios in South Calgary, and a little further south, even still, from Palm Springs, California.
Oh, baby.
The hairy one himself, Ryan Pinder.
I'm here with all the octogenarians, Dean. They've got to figure it out. The 80-year-olds are smarter than us.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Buffalo, hey, Rhett?
You were just in Florida. You really could have just snapped up any land there.
Because you left here to go somewhere else, and you chose. I mean, hey, you know what? It's all good. I mean, it looks like Pinder's winning, but it's hard to say.
Subjective.
Yeah, hard to say. So, what's on the cooker there, Pinder? You got down when? What are you doing? What's the haps?
It was a hellish scene at both airports, Calgary and Palm Springs. So we somehow survived that, and the kids were right into the pool. And then it was, let's go out and hammer Mexican food.
Now, Palm Springs is typically a wonderful airport, too.
It really is. They have 3 baggage claims, and they had like 8 planes land at the same time. So it was a bit of a war in there. But if that's as bad as it gets, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, usually you walk off, you grab your bag, you get your rental car, and you're gone in 20.
Yeah. I think maybe they're trying to do half days, like everything lands in the morning. I've never seen it like that before. That's like I'm like 19 for 20 here. That's the only time I've had an issue.
It's a good spot.
Yeah.
And Dean, how's your house?
Yeah. Cold.
Really?
Somebody turned the friggin' heat off. I have my little heater going in here.
Hey, Pooch. Can see his ears.
It's a lot happening.
Oh, no.
Is there a cat in there, too?
Is that the new dog?
Do you have a new dog?
3 effing dogs? Why?
I see wagging tails. Look at this.
That's a new dog.
Oh, dear.
Oh!
What in the world? That's not a dog. That's a Siberian tiger.
So you've replaced your child with a dog. Your kid left, and you had to get a new dog.
Say hi.
Sure.
I got you, buddy.
That's a good boy, Dean.
He is a good boy.
I think he's not a lap dog.
No, he's a little big.
We're trying. How much does that bastard weigh?
He's about $100.
Oh, my God. That's a monster.
Yeah, and that's new. Hey, look at that one.
Hey, it's Rhett's kid's favorite dog.
How you doing?
That's the guy that doesn't talk.
What's happening? He's unsure.
Yeah, it's pretty bright there.
It's a lot going on. Anyway.
How's Birdie dealing with all this?
Well, see, that's part of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not the good part.
Sorry about that, Dean.
Yeah, that's all right. Where to start? The dogs are in. I've got heat going.
No. Let's start with the Mexican. Where'd you go?
Armando's.
I've also perused the Mexican joints in Palm Springs. Wonderful food. Just amazing.
Yeah. Right on the main strip there, the little shopping area is Armando's. Once a year, every year, got to do it. Heavy hands when they pour the margaritas. So typically daddy has a couple, which is about 5 to 8 ounces, and mommy drives home.
Nice.
Went with the empanadas and not empanadas. What was it? Anyway, some good fish tacos, just nonstop chips and salsa. They know what they're doing here, guys. They're not messing around. Guacamole.
Chips and salsa.
Grilled squid. Yeah.
It's such an easy thing, right?
Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard in Canada? They make it look easy here. Chips are still warm.
Pico de gallo. They make their own there, right?
Oh, yeah. All the places do.
They're not buying
God,
chips. No. Why would we do that? We'll just make them in the kitchen. Delicious.
So what, they can sit in a warehouse for an hour? For a week? No, just make them here.
Yeah. Okay, so ouch. I lost my poppy. Darn dogs. Frank Seravalli going to join us at the bottom of the hour or whatever.
Okay.
I guess we don't really have hours in podcasts, do we? Old habits, I suppose. But we'll talk to Frank. Flames got a win on the weekend, guys. I don't know if you know
What?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a good feeling about that Seattle matchup, but the new guys, the new kids, you talked about it with Pike. Just bring up the whole AHL team. You might have something there.
Who else we got? What else is there? Because you bring up the
There's
Zary
more.
kid. He looks all right. Pospisil
more.
comes in and scores. We know Wolf's is dying to get up here.
D. Simone, first point, first game. Love it.
Let's go.
How far back
Yeah.
do we have to go to say that we've been saying this?
It's only been a couple of years, Rhett.
Yeah. And, as much as Daryl's been absolved, this is the other side of it. The kids never came up. They were right there last year, right?
Yeah, it's to me it goes back to the Iginla era when we couldn't trade, and you totally could if you just did and got some kids and let them play.
Now, to be fair, there's some kids in the system now, not like stars, but good depth players. Where back then, less so. We've never seen an American League team win league championships, like regular season stuff, like we have in the last couple with this group. It's been since back to, what was it, like the St. John's days, even 04 when you guys called up like Montador, Kami, and others, right?
Perhaps. Are you actually arguing that the kids shouldn't be playing? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm saying like they're in a position where they can now. In the Iginla years, there was trash there.
Yeah, but that's because they wouldn't go get any, and they didn't think they were having kids around was worth it. It's like, no, the kids are really effing good these days. Let's have them in. Even
Solovyov I thought was like a really nice piece, like a depth defensive first D-man. That's great. Poirier's hurt. He'll be fine. Pelche's hurt. He'll be fine. Wolf's coming.
I'll tell you what, I'm fully prepared to overreact to a small sample.
I am too. Yeah.
I really like Zary.
And
really like
Pospisil's got some
Zary.
muck to him, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean I think he is exactly what you think he might be, third, fourth, but there is, I said to Pike, with so much emphasis on Wolf, and we got talking about obviously Coronado, and for almost kind of forgotten in there was Connor Zary a little bit. Oh yeah, that was that first rounder from the COVID year when they didn't have a draft and that whole thing.
Yep.
And even, I mean, it's disrespectful, I guess. I just haven't paid that much attention. Comes out this year, has a great start offensively in the A, but there's some speed there. There's some skill. I like a lot of what I'm seeing. 2 games.
The other thing,
but I'm all right with it.
You got to remember is he had that weird year in the Western League after he was drafted. Now, Treliving dropped back 2 or 3 times and kept adding later picks. He had Zary in the same box as a bunch of guys and ends up getting Zary, a few other late round picks. He's a first rounder. This is some high pedigree. Like, this is a guy the Flames would have had in their top 20 in the entire draft class. And so they keep sliding back. They get their guy. And then the next year, the OHL didn't even play. The Western League was in and out. He played a little bit of American League when that was going. And then he gets hurt big time his first full season in the American League. And meanwhile, it's Phillips and Pelche and Wolf. So we weren't talking about him because, to be fair, like, he was hurt. He was just trying to get acclimatized to playing against men. Now he's finally got some games under his belt there. And we're reminded of he's got first round pedigree.
Seeing a question coming in, when's Pelche expected to make a return? I checked in last week because I was thinking the same thing. Oh, maybe he's close. It's a 4 to 6 month type of a deal. So obviously they're hoping it's 4, not 6, and 4 puts you December,
soon,
January,
New
Year.
Yeah. And then you got to take contact and you got to get back into things and all that. So it's crappy for the kid, but it's another guy.
Yep.
When you start to look, I don't know how many, 2 or 3 potential all-stars. I don't know how many guys are going to be all-stars in that group, but there's maybe more of a base of young players than maybe we thought. The back end it's thin. There's no question about it. But I think if you're a fan, you're probably a little bit encouraged by seeing Zary come in. Okay, Pospisil, and somewhere if you could get Ruzicka to
hurt.
Because it was Ruzicka and Phillips who were leading that team for a couple of years offensively in the American League. We know where Phillips is now, unfortunately, but I still don't know. What I'm feeling for Zary, I'm not really feeling for Ruzicka.
You always cut a bit older. What do we say? He's 25 now? 24?
Yeah.
Like Rosie was the fourth.
You're not a
round
prospect
project.
now, right?
Yeah. No, and to be fair, like I think he needs waivers, if I'm correct. Like
probably.
He's a guy that it's like, and I didn't mind his start. He just got hurt at the wrong time, but it makes you think about like, why are we paying veterans like $3 to $6 million to do the same job as some of these kids that can play on entry level deals?
The only people that should be making that big money are guys that have proven they're going to be right. Like go with youth.
Yeah.
That's what smart teams have to do. Or I think you look at Toronto or Edmonton. I don't think it's going so well in Edmonton right now, but they've got their superstars, right? And then you almost have to fill with kids.
Chicago back in the day, we're paying Taves and K and X. Well, we're going to backfill with guys that making $1 million or less.
And if you're going to have a high first round pick, hit on it.
Yeah, please.
Hit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Hanzik, be a guy, please.
Get a star.
That's not a high pick, though, I don't think. Is it? Would you consider Hanzik? I'm not saying he's not a good pick. I'm saying it's not.
I only mention him because of how deep that draft class is. I think that might be a top 10 type guy in a normal year. But yeah, you're right. It's not like a top 5. Top 5, go build the core of your team, right?
Fellas.
You have food in there, Dean?
What is going on?
Fellas.
Are we mating or what are we doing there?
No, we're having a wrestle.
Okay.
We're wrestling.
Well, my dog was disciplined before. He would never have done that.
That's not the story I heard.
Is that what it was? Yeah. I want, because you're here, Pinder, and you're not going to be here for the rest of the week, I want you to talk about Greta, because coming up, we are going to be at Greta. They are kind of our home away from home for this show, and obviously for Afterburner, going to be doing stuff there. Grab a cocktail, something from the menu, maybe load up your game card and get into the game. Over 50 arcade games from vintage to state-of-the-art. Load up that card and get after it. Located here in Calgary at 213 10th Avenue Southwest. GretaBar.com is the website. But we got a date. We're going back.
I was there Friday chatting with Kennedy, who does all the social media. She's the TikToker there. These young kids, they know what's going on. We shot some video. We hammed it up a bit. We're going to have fun. We're there November 16th. It's Flames and Canucks. It's also Thursday Night Football. And I'm going to eat those 42 nuggets, which... yeah, we have to. There's Grandpa flying by. Attaboy.
Oh, wow. Let's
tarps off.
Let's go.
Grandpasaurus Rex.
Lock up your daughters.
Yeah, sorry, just a little distracted in the background there. Beefcake profile in the show here. But I actually just sent Jack a photo. I don't know how quickly he can turn that around, but they've got the nuggets thing figured out. They've decided on rules. There's no sauces. I have to eat the pickles as well. And they also showed me where the nearest men's room is from where I'm going to be eating 42 nuggets.
Did you say no sauces?
That's we were hamming it up for a little script there, but we could add sauce. Dean's
I think that should be your option. If you want to add sauce, why can't you have sauce?
It's a boomocracy, so let's turn to the mighty master.
I'll allow sauce.
Okay.
You watch.
And they had lots of different ones. Yeah.
You watch that guy eat the hot dogs? Dips it in the water.
He wants to dip it in the water. He was
just in town.
He was in town. No, it's whatever you need to do to get 42 wings down. Wow.
And that's about right there. Like that's a full table. That's the kitchen at the back of Greta there.
Yeah. Those are not.
They're not small.
Those are not small. Those are big wings.
I'll help you.
Yeah, Kennedy was like, "Hey, just let's eat a couple then just as fast as you can, and we'll get some video and see how it looks." And it was like, "Oh boy, this is mealy mouth Mike pretty quick there." Like, no. There's a lot of chewing to be done. These are not little 2-biters.
Well, you should have a lot of beer while you're doing it.
I'm okay.
A lot of beer. Yeah. I'm sure it'll go well. So that is coming out. What's our date for that? That's
November 16 at Greta. Now, we've done an event at Greta. It was ticketed. This one will not be ticketed. It's a Flames home game that night. Just come down and have some fun. If the Flames are getting waxed by the Canucks, you can play the video games. If you got a close game, it's there. We got the Nuggets. We got Thursday Night Football. Come one, come all. November 16. I believe it's 6:15 kickoff for Thursday Night Football. 7 o'clock puck drop for Flames and Canucks, who've been scorching out of the gate this season, fellas.
They have been. What's going on?
Quinn Hughes for Norris.
That's not good.
I said to Pike the other night on Afterburner. I'll be okay with Vancouver doing well, so long as the Oilers continue to do what they're doing.
Yes.
That's the trade I'll make. They are off to the second worst start in franchise history. If they want to continue along that vein, Vancouver, fill your boots.
Well, and I've been saying it for a while. You guys have agreed. It feels like the Oilers are just one lottery win away.
Yeah, if they could just get a break, get a high
just
pick
read somewhere
somewhere
that maybe Patrick Kane's coming to save them.
Oh, another guy in the back nine. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, because scoring goals is what they need help with.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, Kane can also play net. He did that in Chicago for one.
Okay, guys, let's get 60% on the power play and let everything else work itself out. We'll talk to Seravalli. The Oilers have a road trip coming up: Vancouver, San Jose, and Seattle. Now, San Jose is doing just some amazing work. And we saw the Seattle Kraken the other night. So again, if they come home with worse than a 2-1 record, like worst case, I'd be shocked. But it's the temperature's hot up there.
Yeah. Well, that coach has got to be feeling it now. And he was preaching one day at a time all summer, and Connor got the boys back 2 weeks early. Captain skates. Like, it was, how are we going to deal with being so good and not peak too soon was how they sort of built their off season. But it's not been that.
It really was that, right? Because, the guys are back early. They're hungry. They're fired up. They're ready. They're sick of each other.
You think
they're going to be great? They're my pick for the cup. They're going to win 6 cups, and everyone's resigning. Oh, my God. Can they blow this thing up?
I hate you. I hate you. Oh, well, we'll talk to Frankie about it coming up.
Are you annoyed with your dogs?
No, I just I don't know what the hell's going on.
They're showmen.
They're playing.
The lights are on. They know what's up.
Let them play.
Can you give them a fellas?
Well, I don't really want to yell at them. Fellas, what are we doing?
Worried about their feelings?
Buster, what are we doing in here? Guys, I'm trying to do a highly rated podcast right now. I don't have time for this roughhousing.
Is that correct? Are we a highly rated?
Highly rated podcast, yeah. highly rated.
R-rated?
I have the. You look pretty good, Pinder.
Thank you.
For what we're going to get into. We've got the injury report for McLeod Law. You know Peter Klein at McLeod Law. He is the personal injury guy, but did you know he's also the go-to guy in Calgary for your disability insurance claim? If your long-term disability insurance company is refusing to pay those insurance benefits to you, you contact Peter. He's on the job. He'll get you those benefits that you paid for and deserve. It's that peace of mind that you get when you've got McLeod Law working for you. You do look good, considering. I thought you would be on the injury report today. After, because you're in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
You got your boys. They're all excited. Beautiful weather.
Fired up.
You were doing the slip and slide yesterday.
That's right.
And I know you'd kind of been in. You talked about the margaritas and stuff.
Yeah.
This was, again, I'm surprised you've bounced back. Dad.
That's a little routine we pull, and it just you just lay there still like you're dead and listen to what they say.
So you're just kind of messing around there.
Yeah, Mom said, we're not going to miss him.
Yeah.
We're fine without him, boys.
You can just see his brain mushing around.
Just sloshing around in there. And I do like the helpless slide.
Just tombstoning down the hill.
And the kid looking at him like, what?
Dad, quit playing around, Dad. Go again.
That's just that's a power cycle. That's a hard reboot. That's all that is. You got a lot of booze. Reboot. You just got to turn it off, turn it on. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that was the full unplug from the wall. Leave it for 2 or 3 minutes, and then plug it back in. So good for you. I'm glad to see you.
We're back,
you've
baby.
Recovered nicely. Yeah, you've recovered nicely. McLeod Law, proud of their Calgary roots, a big part of their long-standing client relationships. They understand the city, the people in it, and the way things work, like the communities they serve. McLeod Law team is varied and diverse and share a commitment to making a positive impact on the city of Calgary. McLeod Law. Good people. Good people. This has never happened before.
Well, I'm telling you, it's the lights. They're frisky.
What's that dog's name?
Which one?
The 100-pounder.
That's Bear.
Yes. So from birdie to bear.
Yep.
Now,
And still busty.
What were the names that were being considered? You went with Bear.
Bear. It was already installed in the hard drive when Bear came to live with us.
Gotcha.
He was further along than the last dog with a different name, and everybody they're fine with Bear. It suits him. He's big. He's very much a bear.
Burmese, is it?
Bernese, yeah,
Bernese.
a Bernese mountain dog. Mama has always wanted one.
Wow, beauty.
So she's got one, yeah. But he's a good boy.
How much does that dog eat? That was a monster. When he kind of just leaned on you. He didn't get on your lap.
Yeah, they're solid, big feet, big everything, and he's a great dog.
Big landmines in the backyard for Uncle Dino.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of raw meat. You know what I want to tell you about, because we're going to get Frank on here momentarily. I don't want to really get into something. The Wendy's Survivor Pool is underway. Started last week. Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool for Wendy's. Now you go to the website for Daily Face-Off, dailyfaceoff.com. Top right corner, you're going to see the link. You click on it, and then if you haven't already, you make your profile. Going to give your info there. We're not going to hunt you down. We just need to get a hold of you if you're going to be a survivor. If you're going to do a bunch of winning, we got to get those prizes to you, courtesy of Wendy's. You start on day one. They'll give you a box of options. This team's going to win. This guy's getting a point. 5, 10 options. 8, 10 options. You pick one. It hits. You're alive for the next day. Then you keep going and you keep going. And you could be winning. You could be winning a bunch of burgers, maybe some Frosties, maybe the new barbecue bacon cheeseburger with the Applewood smoked bacon, crispy onions, melty cheese over the fresh, never frozen Canadian beef. I think I had a 1-day streak. I
got your picks today.
Do you?
Yeah, Zabinajad got me.
I had the
Get
Robertson.
3 shots. Game all year, sub 1.
Yeah, and I forget which one I went with the next day, and it didn't come through. But you got to keep checking back. You got to keep checking in. You got to go streaking. Daily Face-Off Survivor Pool for Wendy's, running now through the rest of the season. Dailyfaceoff.com. I do like Wendy's.
Elias Pettersson over a half point. Hell yeah.
Oilers in Vancouver tonight, 8:00 start here in Calgary. Might have to do a little flipping.
Third time they've met. They opened the season.
Yeah, might have to do a little flipping.
This is the third time they've played. So this is the
they opened the season back to back. They probably will have a fourth if they're playing 3 this early. But they won't play 5.
No. Just taking a look here.
I've got some Betway bets on that game.
Mangiapane. Yeah, we'll talk about that. What did we think? I guess just kind of to quickly get into it. Mangiapane gets a game.
I think 1 is light.
Yeah, you mentioned it post-game, Dean. If that happens late in the game, maybe this is 2. Because this is pretty early.
I honestly don't know what they take into account. Obviously, there's history of suspension and all of that. But I'm with you, Rhett. This felt like minimum 2. With what we saw was getting 4 games last week from both McAvoy and Rasmus Andersson. This is maybe in that category, maybe a little less than, but I thought it was...
To me, anytime a stick is involved is worse than a body check type of thing. And especially when it's deliberate. This wasn't an accidental. He knew exactly what he was doing. And to me, you're using weaponry at that point. Like the stick and you in his neck and onto no, I'm shocked it's 1 game.
I am too. Because I know on Hockey Night, they talked about Jamie Benn when he cross-checked Mark Stone in the playoffs, and he got 2 games in the playoffs. And I don't know how dissimilar this was from that one. Maybe maybe Ben comes down with more force or body weight or whatever. Again, it's very similar to get one game for what got 2 playoff games, but the Flames will take it. They could use Mangiapane because they're not. I mean, they put some pucks in the net the other night, a couple empty netters, and they had some success. But Mangiapane out for any amount of time would not be a good thing. Easily, obviously.
The thing there is if he misses 6 inches lower, that's like the back of the shoulder pads. If he's a few inches higher, it's the back of a helmet. He catches him right on the bridge of the neck, so that it really could have been more to your point.
Yeah, sure, the shoulder pads. Then give him 1 game for doing it in the shoulder pads. But if you do it in his head, even like neck or head area, that's still to me no bueno.
Because there was that angle where you can see his head, face and head bounces off the ice. They have to have taken into account that he missed the bulk of that game. They have to have.
And that the player comes back and plays, that he wasn't out. If someone goes down the tunnel and doesn't return, I think we see more than a game here.
Which we still don't agree with, do we?
I mean, this whole thing with Department of Player Safety, it's the same act, but if someone misses a season versus not even a shift, it's the process. But at the same time, it's like, but it does matter if you've taken, I don't know. I could see both sides on that.
I didn't have 2 suspensions on my bingo card by the 10-11 game mark for the Flames this year. That's for sure.
Well, they play tough hockey, Dean.
Yeah.
That's what they're known for.
I should have known better. Yeah, I really should have known better. What'd you make of the game the other night? Not a whole. It's from Saturday night. It was the late game. It's already Monday now. They get, like I say, they get the 2 empty netters, a couple quick goals, 2 and 2:27, plus the 1 late goal from Hannafin at the end of the period. Put them in a pretty good spot. But I mean, thoughts on the game?
What? I was content with it. I didn't think it was, you know what it looked like to me, a team that was working hard enough and was due a win. A break here, a break there, right? That's what it kind of felt like to me.
It's kind of that cliche, right? They were okay against Dallas and didn't win. They were a little better against Seattle. They get a win.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, if they're playing New York or Dallas, they probably lose with that type effort. But it was a similar effort to those games. And Seattle this year ain't Seattle last year. And I look at their schedule. They still only played 2 good teams, as crazy as that sounds. They're 11 games in, if I'm right. It's New York and Dallas. No one on that road trip. Like maybe Detroit's good. We'll see. That's maybe. But basically, you look at the bottom third of the standings. That's a lot of the games they've played. And so, if you have a good effort, you should pull some wins out against those types of clubs. And I thought there was lots of opportunity for Seattle to bury that thing. They didn't. And the Flames get rewarded for probably one of their steadier efforts and more consistent efforts of the year.
Vladar made a save or 2, which was nice.
To see.
Let's check in with our NHL insider on the insider hotline for TELUS. Enter to win one of 6 monthly prizes, including tickets to Calgary hockey games and awesome tech like AirPods, Apple Watches, and more. No purchase necessary. All you have to do is fill out a quick survey to enter. Enter for your chance to win at TELUS.com/Flames contest. Frank Seravalli, as the Eagles do it again. By this, is it the hair or the skin of their chin, the hair or something like that? The short and curly.
They were.
Like I'm not sure what it was. Yeah,
they were straight up barfing all over themselves those last 52 seconds, but somehow find a way to get the win. And by the way, where are you? Like, is Rhett actually in an office somewhere? Where is this?
I own a lot of businesses, Frank. I sort of have to travel around to make sure they're all running correctly. I'm a details guy. Detail.
Oh yeah. So he stops in like once every 3 months, and then they're like, "Who is this guy again?" Oh, that's right. Okay.
No, I forgot my skates down at the rink, so I'm doing it from an office at the rink.
Yeah, he's at the rink. He's in one of the coaches' offices. And
do you imagine Rhett owning a business? That'd be so awesome.
You would never. It's like, is it open today?
Sure.
Call ahead. It don't matter if you call ahead. Because by the time you get there, he might be gone. It's hard to say.
And it's St. John Baptiste Day. We honor it every year. Sorry, we're closed.
And Pinder, what are you doing?
It's there might be a little place with mouse ears that we're taking the boys to here in a couple days. So we're in the Los Angeles neighborhood, so to speak.
Very nice. Okay.
Do they know about it yet, or is it still a surprise?
No, the surprise.
Nice.
And it's like, hey, how come our cousin's going? That's not fair. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Don't say something stupid now.
Yeah.
I want to do this.
You won't once you get there. Trust me.
I know. I mean, to the point we paid for the things, so we're going. Please behave.
I don't want to get too far into it. I never find it's too entertaining or interesting when people talk about length of suspensions or any of that, because I think it's 4. I think it's 2. I don't know how compelling it is, but I guess we thought, if anything, it was a little light for Andrew Mangiapane to get 1 game. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, seemed about right. It wasn't like it was stupid. There was no doubt, but it wasn't like Chris Simon level of like vengeance and force that I was like, all right, we need to throw 10 games at this guy. Or, if you said 2, I would have just nodded ahead in approval. And if you said 1, I would have been like, okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Now you might know, do they take, because it happened early on in the first period, the fact that he missed 2.5 periods, does that factor in? Do they count that as a pseudo game?
It depends on who you ask, but I'm pretty sure, yes, they do. Like if you're kicked out in the first 8 seconds, that counts as time served. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, these, like we were just saying as well, these rough and tumble Flames, 2 suspensions already to start the year. It's Ryan Huska's Flames. This is not your this is not your grandpa's Calgary Flames, I guess. Look out, Nashville tomorrow night. I do want to talk about what's going on here, and then we'll move on and we'll go up north. With Craig Conroy, essentially, I guess he's just kind of putting the phone down, not answering emails, just going to kind of ride things out here for a little bit. What do the next few weeks look like for him? You're not really worrying about extensions anymore. What's he focusing on if you're the GM of the Flames here?
Well, I think one thing you should be focusing on is really what other teams are in a tough spot. And is there a chance to make a swap that makes sense for you and someone else? A sort of, I've got a problem, you've got a problem, let's see if we can solve it together. It's pretty rare that those things end up working themselves out in November, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, because I think, look, I know where you guys are at, and I know where the market is at, because I hear it and I understand that you think that this team just doesn't have the goods to compete. And for the most part, I would agree. And I'm not saying go out and try and put a Band-Aid on it and put it all together again. But is there some, changing up the mix? Is there something that works out there that, allows you to at least get a different look, a different feel? That's what I'd be most interested in if I was in Craig Conroy's shoes right now. And then kind of beginning next week, you've got the GM meetings in Toronto right on the heels of Hall of Fame, and you're going to have all 32 guys in one room. Does someone kind of plant a seed? Hey, I really want to get my hands on Lindholm. Hey, I'm really interested in Hanifin. Whoever it is, this is kind of the time of year when those calls first begin to get made of laying the groundwork for when it comes to March.
Are there any teams, obviously the Oilers are one, but are there other teams that you would see contenders, but possibly in a rough patch that would be looking at making some kind of move? The thing is, you bring a Hanifin or Lindholm, those are blockbuster type deals. Like you say, it's really hard to imagine that happens right now. But where are there hot seats across the league?
I mean, I think there's kind of very few. Like I wouldn't even include Carolina in the hot seat conversation. I mean, I think they're a team that just has gotten exceptionally poor goaltending. You look at Carolina and where they stack up save percentage wise, it's Oilers 32nd, Carolina 31st. And then, at 30th, it's the team that gave up back-to-back 10-goal games. I mean, if you're behind the Sharks in any category at some point this season, you should seriously give your head a shake. And so what do the Hurricanes do today? They bring in Yaroslav Halak on a PTO where he's going to be practicing with the team and essentially just, is this guy better than what we have for the right now? And so Carolina, like, they're a cup contender for me that's kind of off to a rocky start. I think the Leafs, not as much internal panic as there may be drama that's been created in the marketplace. I look out west and I'm like, Dallas is doing what it should. Colorado had a stinker against Vegas on Saturday night. They lose by a touchdown. But I'm not looking at any other team in the league really outside of Edmonton saying, hey, this is a cup contender where things have gone completely off the rails and we need a major surgery to fix this. It's kind of just the Oilers that stand alone in that category. And then you ask yourself, well, how often do these two teams end up making a deal?
Yeah, I can't imagine there's any kind of a deal to be made there. They've made deals in the past, but it's certainly not been anything.
Was Ladislav Schmid the last one? I'm trying to
think. Or Steve Staios. I mean, it was one of those.
Lucic, right?
The Lucic Neal deal. Which I guess, that's a big deal. But
yeah,
that was both teams kind of wanted out of that. I mean, I know everyone, whenever we start talking Oilers on here, it's like, oh, it's an Oilers show. I thought this was a Flames show, but I don't know how you don't talk about it. Off to their second worst start in franchise history. They went 1-8-1 in 92-93. They're out to a 2-7-1 start, same as their 93-94 season. You keep waiting for them to just kind of flip the switch, and it hasn't happened yet. Now they go to Vancouver, San Jose, and Seattle. And I think the vibe seems to be, if this is not a very good road trip, changes are imminent. And what changes those are, I don't know. Again, I don't know what they are. The toughest spot there is Vancouver, but 2 wins. You talk about things I did not foresee. This is maybe at the top of the list.
It's for sure at the top of the list. This season to start has been a nightmare. There's no question. And I think really the toughest part to figure out is it's not just one facet of their game that you look at and you go, oh man, well, like they're McDavid and Draisaitl, they're not going to the point where you'd say, oh yeah, you know what? No big deal. They're just going to bludgeon their opponents for the next 2 weeks and win every game 5-4 in spite of their 32nd place goaltending. No. So the goaltending is no good. It's not all on the Stars because they've had otherworldly moments in the last number of years that everyone else has held them short. And I think it kind of evens itself out, but their defense really struggles. This team continually shoots themselves in the foot. And then they have these sort of moments in time where there is zero energy, compete, and effort. And you're going, how's that possible? So I think it's a lot of different facets when it comes to the Oilers that all adds up to being a pretty scary start. And I'll tell you this, they've got 10 games to figure it out. And that's it. No more than that. It's a purely mathematical equation and one that they won't be able to solve for if they get through these next 10 games and only have 10 points. I don't care if they're the second coming of the 84-85 Oilers, is not happening. They're not going to find a way to make it back and be a playoff team if they skate through the next 10 games without any results.
So that puts you right in that American Thanksgiving window, right? That's kind of the magic spot.
So they would just do the math. They would need 85 points or so in the last 62 games of the year. Like it's probably not happening.
What does that mean long term? Because this is the second last year of Leon's deal, and I thought, the way that these two guys stay and are career Oilers is if they hang a banner. If that doesn't happen this year, I feel like, now you're into the final year of Leon, and this thing could unravel real quick.
I disagree because, look, first off, I think those two guys are tied at the hip. Like you've seen them together in summers, and Leon bought a house in Ontario so he could be near Connor. And there's only one place on the planet that both guys can play on the same team together with their cap hits, and that's in the place they currently are in Edmonton. So I would expect some changes in these next handful of games if they don't see more results. I think the temperature gets turned up a little bit more on Jay Woodcroft game after game, fairly or unfairly. I mean, again, just go back to the math equation. In the short term, I know you asked about long term, but if they lose to the Canucks on Monday night, they're 14 points back of Van. 14 points.
Can you give Woodcroft those games though? Like if they lose to Vancouver tonight, is it tonight?
Mm-hmm. Yep, tonight.
Can Woodcroft keep his job? Because
I don't think he can. I'm not saying it's just on one game. I'm saying if you get through these next 3, you don't come up with like 2 out of 3 wins against Seattle, San Jose, and Van. Like you're probably looking at a situation where you go, look, I know his track record's been good, but you got to do something to try and find a spark. And they don't even have enough cap space to like send someone down to you can't even send Jack Campbell down to the minors and say, hey, we're going to bring up Cal Pickard or whoever the goalie is there who's got way better numbers, because they don't have the cap space to be able to do it.
Does it matter now? Sorry, I'm bouncing kind of all around on this Woodcroft stuff, because even if they win 2 out of 3, is it more on how they play to get those 2 wins, or is it the results? Because you could go and get 2 wins, but if you play the same, will they? Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
I get what you're saying, but I'm more focused on results right now.
Oof, okay. Yeah.
That's what the standings dictate. I mean, usually it's process over everything, but you could even point to the fact that the Oilers are the #1 team in the league in expected goals for at 5-on-5. But the detractors to that will say this team has spent so much time trailing in games because they've gotten slaughtered in second and third periods that a lot of that is actually just related to score effects. There's an eye test to this component that the Oilers are failing this year that they need to figure out.
Well, and you talked about it, big changes. What can you do aside from the coach here? Like, is there anything else you can do? That roster is you're hemmed in. You're up against the cap. It's the last year of a GM who's going to the Hall of Fame season up there. Staios is gone. He was groomed to be the next guy. Like, Woodcroft feels like the only thing they can do at this point.
And who's available?
Jeff Jackson is their new CEO, and I'd imagine at some point he puts his own stamp on this, right? Like they're not going to sit idly and twiddle their thumbs. Like, patience is a Ken Holland approach, but this is the end of the road for Ken Holland. He's acknowledged that this in the final year of his deal, like he's not coming back to be a GM anymore. So he's already in the Hall of Fame. His place is well settled there. They have to me personally, I think they have to improve their defense. I think when I look at Edmonton and I look at the way their roster is constructed, I don't really think it's that far off from Toronto, except they might be in a slightly worse spot in that Darnell Nurse makes more money on the salary cap than Morgan Riley. And the kind of the way these two teams are both structured and set up, there's such an emphasis on their forwards that it leaves you wanting a lot of times on their back end that you're just not getting it.
I watched a bit of the game. I guess it was Thursday, and just watching Bouchard and his awareness, and then you've got CC. When your defensive structure, the success rate of your D hinges so much on Matthias Ekholm. I mean, he's a great defenseman. He's a fine defenseman. But as soon as his game is either he's out or his game is a little off kilter, then if everybody falls apart, I don't know. I didn't
want to make too big a deal out of it because I couldn't kind of go back and unring the bell, because he stepped into their lineup last year after the trade deadline. Ekholm did, and everyone was like, look at this guy. He's the perfect missing final piece for this team. And I said, yeah, but guys, like, you have 3 more years of Ekholm after the fact. And that's really the worry here is you can go out and make that trade. And if it puts you over the top to win a cup, you don't care about the next 3 years. But if he shows up in September and has a hip flexor and then all of a sudden looks old and slow in October and November, all of a sudden you're going, hold on a second here. We're paying him how much and for how long?
Yeah. Well, I just never bought that this decor goaltending group was good enough. It's you've got 2 defensemen that I think are good in their own zone, and it's Kulak and Ekholm. The rest, they have some tools, but then you go change the defensive system for said guys, and that's the one that's really crazy, because coming down the stretch last year, there was not a hotter team going into the playoffs than the Oilers. It's the same group, and why are you changing your D system?
That's kind of hard to figure. 14-0-1 is how they entered the playoffs last year.
We'll wait till next week. Because Rhett kind of threw it in there, and who's available. I always wonder sometimes, because you'll see teams, they'll hold off on making a coaching change, and the team will come through, and you'll look back and say, that was the right thing to do. Patience was the right thing to do there. You think of John Cooper with Tampa Bay when they got bounced in round one by Columbus, and they were fire the coach. It happened to Claude Julien in Boston before they won their cup. He was going to be gone. They settled the waters. Those are two pretty good coaches in the end, and maybe in a decade from now, we're talking about Woodcroft in the same breath. But I just wonder, it's easy to fire the coach. All right. Who is going to come in there, not to just stand behind the bench and throw lines out? Who's going to make them better? Who's going to fix what ails them? I don't know who that guy is.
The big rumbling was, maybe they're going to go out and get Joel Quenneville. But last I checked, not reinstated. And I don't think anywhere even close to being reinstated. So unless there's some kind of magical change and Duncan Keith can work some Gary Bettman magic and make it happen, like, who is the logical, this guy is going to get this team over the top and to a Stanley Cup? Like, I don't think there's some, genie in a bottle that's out there waiting for you to just tap into.
Were we not led to believe not that long ago that Quenneville was part of that group that there will be they'll kiss and make up with Gary. It's just a matter of having to go through it. That when the time comes, there probably wouldn't be much standing in the way. Or is that? Am I off on that?
Overstated. I think my understanding is both Joel Quenneville and Stan Bowman presented to the NHL's GMs and head coaches back in, I think it was late September in Chicago. They had a meeting kind of just before training camp, and the thought process was, hey, look, these guys are presenting to you of what the model is, what not to do, how to be transparent and forthright. I just think since then, there hasn't been very much communication by way of the league to those two individuals that would seem to hint that, hey, all it's going to take is for a team to call and all of a sudden you're back in the league, especially not after we saw some news over the weekend that another one of the players that was a black ace has filed a lawsuit. Like, this story is back in the news again. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And there's other sexual assault cases still pending against the league or with league players involved that it kind of, I don't see a path, at least right now.
And probably Mike Babcock would not be an option anymore either, right? If that hadn't happened with Columbus, I feel like that would be a name you'd be hearing a lot of in Edmonton, but that doesn't.
It would have. I think they actually flirted with Mike Babcock for a period of time, and were considering bringing him in, a couple years ago before Woodcroft, and they just didn't end up getting there.
Yeah. What is going on with San Jose? Do we need to send in? I mean, there's tanking, and this is. They are 0-10-1. The Oilers are second last in the league as far as goals for and against at -14. San Jose is last, -43.
Is that bad?
They're not just losing, they're getting destroyed to the point that you would think there would be a number of AHL teams who would be able to play in the NHL and have a better record. I don't know.
0 wins.
Is there any part of this that Gary Bettman's going to have to be like, who are we playing here? What is happening in San Jose?
What's he going to say?
It's just
like this team actually went out and traded for players this summer. What's he possibly going to say?
It just feels like this is we're possibly watching one of the worst performances, and San Jose has had some bad teams. I think of that expansion year. They were a bad hockey team. Oh. To your point, they bring in Duclair. They went and got some guys. What's happening down there?
Rhett, did you ever play against Link Gates?
Ooh. No, I never. He was just before me.
Oh man, the missing link.
I saw his shoulder get pulled out in a senior game in a fight.
I have heard the stories, and I wrote like kind of a long oral history of the Sharks' first seasons, and the stories with that guy landing in cities and having cops pull up to the plane to haul him off because they were fulfilling arrest warrants. Like, this is like pre-social media NHL, and it was unbelievable. So yeah, that's what they're competing against, an 11-win Sharks team from 1993 or 4. It's that bad. And I think the scariest part, if you're a Sharks fan, is like, yeah, there doesn't really seem to be very much pride. Like, if you have a bad game and you give up 10, like, that's rough. Even some really good teams have an 8 spot or a 9 on the board at a varying point during a season. But to do it again for the second game in a row, that's ugly. And I think the toughest part is they've got nothing that you can point to that you're like, yeah, that's our hope. They have no burgeoning prospect pool. They've got no stockpile of draft picks. Like at least the Coyotes a couple years ago, they felt like they had 50 draft picks that they could at least make good on. What do the Sharks have? And more to the point, what's their plan? Tell me what the cohesive plan is from Mike Greer and his staff, and I will be like, all right, I'm on board. But I have yet to hear one. And maybe the most alarming part is like you've got Hurdle and Couture, and Mark-Edward Vlasic is in his 18th year with the organization. Where are these guys going? Guess what? The answer is nowhere, because they've already got 2 retained salary transactions eating up their books for the next 2 seasons. They can't even retain on these guys and get rid of them even if they wanted to. Only 1 slot left. Good luck.
Wow. And then the other thing is they got a better chance of picking second or third, Frank, than they do first, even if they finish dead last. That's the way the lottery is constructed. So you aren't at all guaranteed to pick first overall. This is like the Sabres in the McDavid year tank, except there's no McDavid here. There's probably a very good player, but it ain't McDavid, right?
Well, the Sabres had, if I'm not mistaken, like 56 or 58 points that year. I'd be shocked if this Sharks team gets to 20 wins.
Oh.
Shocked. I would like, you could sew my head to the carpet if the Sharks get to 20 wins this year.
So Frank, if you can't retain salary, is it now you have to take an awful deal back to move one of those guys out? And then what have you accomplished?
What's the point of that?
Yeah. Oof. Hurdle's a weird one. Is that the most, the best player?
It was the dumbest signing I've ever seen.
Tell me why.
Because they had already had 3 years at the time that he signed of being in the lottery realm, that world of the standings. And that's with him. So then you go, okay, let's hurry up and sign him to an 8-year, $68 million contract. Why? I'm not entirely sure. They didn't even have a permanent GM running the team. Joe Will, their assistant GM, was the guy at the controls at the time. And it was like, hey, we could at the deadline sell this guy for an absolute haul. And instead it's like all these NHL teams, and I say it all the time, they need their little security blanket. They got to feel cozy and warm. Oh my God, what would our team look like if we didn't have this guy? Can you imagine? Like, come on, just move on. Get the picks, get the prospects, and let's get this thing trending in the right direction. Instead, we've now got Tomas Hertl for how many more years now at a number that's not even close to tradable?
Well, that's a cautionary tale for the Flames and Lindholm, isn't it, Frank?
I mean,
it's not the same in terms of the lottery realm, but careful now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what we've been talking about for the last number of weeks is you never want to be dead right where you're locked into this spot and you've got all these guys locked up for the long haul for a team that's not competitive, which is why I like that Craig Conroy has taken a step back here and said, I'm just going to put the phone down for a bit and see what happens.
Yeah.
What's up this week? What are you keeping an eye on?
Coaches on the hot seat, as we discussed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Who do they play this week?
No, the Eagles are on a bye week this week.
Oh, shit. You got nothing going on. You should be vacationing.
Thinking about potentially going to Sweden late next week. We got the Hall of Fame and GM meetings next week. A little busy next couple weeks, but this week I think we're just kind of watching some hockey.
Attaboy. Thank you, Frank.
Calls.
We'll talk in a week.
Oh, Patrick Kane. We'll watch Patrick Kane this week.
He's narrowed his list of potential destinations.
I don't think yet, but he will.
Yeah. Not Edmonton, right?
Please.
I don't think so.
Good. Great conversation today.
Good.
Very happy with it. Thanks, Frank.
Also, in the comments, people appreciating that you are on the Death Star broadcasting. It does kind of have. We're watching some Star Wars here the last couple of weeks. It's got some Death Star vibes.
Why? What does that mean?
Oh, just the lights. It's like if someone jumped out with a lightsaber behind you, I'd be like, yeah, that's where Frank does his show.
What would you rather me do? Do you want me to just like
I think it
flip
looks
to
deadly,
white
dude.
or?
The Death Star is unreal.
Here, I got a remote. I can
No hate.
change colors.
Oh,
whoa! It is the Death Star.
high end. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. All right.
And with that bottle of Crown Royal, it's like you're at the cantina there with Jabba the Hutt or whoever it was.
Well, that's Pinder's going to be there as soon as the show's over.
Oh yeah, we know it.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Frank. Talk to you.
Buddy.
You betcha. Frank, on our Insider Hotline, brought to you by TELUS. Using world-leading technology to drive meaningful change, from transforming healthcare and making our food supply more sustainable to reducing our environmental footprint and connecting Canadians in need. Last year alone, TELUS, their team members and retirees volunteered 1.4 million hours and gave $125 million to local communities. The most giving company in the world, making the future friendly. Learn more at TELUS.com/givesback. So I don't want to talk. I know people hate talking about the Oilers, but I am curious because Frank said it's just get points or be damned. And Retro, your point was, okay, well, you can beat San Jose, but what have you accomplished? Are you better? Are you getting better? You could actually be getting sloppier and beat the San Jose Sharks, right? Like it's.
Well, my concern if I was an Oilers fan was, okay, we got a couple wins, but nothing's changed, right? Like sometimes the bounces happen. Now, maybe that's all that team needs is just take a little heat off and start enjoying the game again. But I don't know. Do you often see teams that are expected to compete for the Stanley Cup come out of the gates this slow and have? To me, that Evander Kane comment about the coach was a bit Zadorov, as in, remember when Zadorov was talking about how the Flames need to get their act together? Evander Kane saying, well, I wasn't going to play anyway, so I thought I'd go fight, taking a cheap shot at his coach.
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot into that, and I think there's something going on there.
Yeah, there's two things there, Rhett. It's like, okay, that's a little window into the room. And secondly, Kane's been best behavior, perfect civilian since he got paid and arrived there, but the cracks are starting to show, and every stop prior to Edmonton in his career, it's been a bad room that he's been a part of that. I wonder which one of those two things or a combination of those two things is happening. Exactly. It can't be nothing.
That's exactly what I thought too. And you hate to be a rumor monger, but there's a history. There's a history and a trend there. Yeah.
There's 3 teams that he's played for prior, and 3 rooms were sick of Evander Kane when he left, if not quite a bit sooner.
And you've mentioned a couple times about Leon because he's got the last year of the deal coming up.
Next year, yeah.
And I still wonder about the other guy.
Yeah.
Because if I'm Leon, I'm gonna hook my wagon to Connor. Are we staying or are we going?
Yeah.
So I just don't know that would Leon choose to leave if with McDavid having another year, and is he going to stay? I just wonder about McDavid. Watching his body language, obviously he hates losing, and I don't think he's leaving. I really do. I think he signs there long term and spends his career there. But at the same time, it's one thing it sucks when you lose in the playoffs. What if by December your backs are against the wall? Like Frank said, what if the next 10 games don't go well for you and you've got to go at an unmanageable clip the rest of the way to even get into the playoffs? That changes the whole picture to me, because I never would have seen it coming. And I still don't think I feel like they find a way here, but I don't think they're winning a cup. That's the thing. I think they get into the playoffs, but I don't sit here as a Flames fan, or if you are a Flames fan and you're like, oh, I could never handle it. They don't feel like a team that's going to be able to contend with a Vegas or Colorado or any of those.
It's early though, right?
You think back to last year, Frank just said, what were they, 14-1 going into
14-0-1.
So it's a long way off, and with that high end skill, I think you always have a chance. So I think at the start of the year, I was like a lot of people that would have been like, well, who's at the top of the list, and I would have put them in there. I wouldn't right now, but it also wouldn't be surprising to see them get hot and have a charge at it.
I just think about that team, and it's like, okay, so you've been gifted 2 superstars. You picked first 4 times in 7 years. Your 3rd overall guy, Leon's a mega stud. What have you done? What is your signature move to surround those 2 guys?
Okay,
You've bought the back nine on a lot of guys, given up too much term. You've spent too much in free agency.
What were options for them to do? And I'm serious. I'm not poking holes in your argument. I'm just curious because they could have got Markstrom and they didn't.
There's been some other goalies than Jack Campbell that you could have given $25 million to for sure. That one blew up on, but there was also some cracks there if you looked hard enough to hang on now. Is he good? He'd never been a starter until a tiny sample in LA, and then to Toronto where they were great in front of goaltenders despite what people thought they were. It was a horrible signing. And then it's okay, so you went and bought Cody Ceci when Adam Larson walked. That you knew that no one liked him in Toronto before they signed him. And then it's okay, you gave Zach Hyman 7 years. Yeah, the beginning is going to be good, but you're really closing this window now. There's a lot of dead money on that contract. And where are the first round picks? Zegras, Boldy, Caulfield, all those guys went before they jumped on Broberg, who they just sent to the minors. That's the piece you need, is another young dynamic forward. Instead of being a two-line team, you got great depth. Their bottom six is horrible. How is that possible?
But weren't they being revered last year for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had over 100 points, so I don't know if I buy that.
Oh, Nugent-Hopkins, I don't have a problem with him, but that was
he's
a first
second line
pick,
with
right?
100 points, so you're saying that they don't have. You
Their
should be able
six.
to find people to fill your bottom six and not have to pay them.
Exactly, and that's where they fail.
I think it's been a piss poor attempt at shoring up the D. Darnell Nurse was a terrible signing. You can try and tell me differently. Oh, he was really good that year. I don't give a shit. We've all watched him play enough to know what he is. Yeah. Way, 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 way overpaid. And I think McDavid was part of that problem. I think they're buddies. And I think McDavid was in there saying, yeah, give it to him. So
and they brought in Connor Brown too. That's McDavid's pal.
So I think they effed that up, and I think he was part of that. So whatever, but I don't think they've done anything on the goaltending and the D side to give them a chance.
And we talked about timing with Frank, and we'll get to the Pinder Report here in a moment. But about when deals happen, you have to feel like the Oilers. That first round pick, it's absolutely in play. It's got to be, regardless whether they can pull out of this right now or not. It's in play. But if they don't, when do you pull the trigger on that? If you're fearful that the next 10, 20 games, you don't know what. Do you know what I mean? Are you realistically looking at making that blockbuster trade with your first rounder sooner than the trade deadline?
What are you getting and how are you fitting it?
Yeah, the cap is what's going to help them in a sense.
You
because
can try to effing trade whatever you want, but you have something, and maybe San Jose is your spot because maybe you can send them. I don't know who's the shits and has lots of cap space. I'm guessing it's San Jose.
Yeah.
But you have to dump someone if you're making a trade. Somebody's got to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the first round is 100% in play. Kenny Holland's gone no matter what between now and the end of the year. It's his last year.
This one and the next. I mean,
no point keeping him at this point.
No.
You got a window with two superstars. If you don't turn those into good players, they're not hanging around.
And one last point. We're starting to worry that Kane is maybe being a pain in the ass again. He was gifted to them.
Yeah,
right?
that was fell in their lap.
Right? And was real good for them for a couple of years. So they fucking wasted that. They're going to get nothing for him.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
That's a shame, eh?
It is. Shame.
Coming up in January 11th to 13th, we are going to Arizona. Phoenix. There you see it. The Barn Burner Vacation, the Coyotes and Flames. We got tickets at the Mullet Arena. We got flights. We got hotels, transportation to and from the airport. We're going to take care of you as we go down and get out of the deep freeze in January. Round trip airfare, couple nights, the Mullet Arena.
Can you read that little bit at the bottom in quotations?
$14.99 per person. Double occupancy rooms is what that says.
The Den.
The Den game tickets. I don't know that have
I feel like we're in a crazy section. I like this, boys. I got to bring
is that what it is?
I think so. There's a certain part of the building where I think behind one of the nets where it's absolute gong show student section. We'll do some research on that, but I don't think these are standard tickets.
Yeah. Party animals over here.
Oh, baby.
Get ready. So here's where how do you get involved? How do you go to get your spot? Nationgear.ca. It's probably another thing I guess we should have on there. Nationgear.ca is the website to go and book your spot. There are obviously limited spots available, so get on this thing. Makes a great gift. Christmas, if you're thinking, what do you get somebody? This would be a hell of a gift. And we're going to have a hell of a time. Presented by Alberta Blue Cross. There's only one thing better than sharing memories, and that is making new ones. Alberta Blue Cross Travel Insurance protects your memories and more, wherever travel takes you. Visit ab.bluecross.ca/travel for more information. Can you hear these dogs messing around in here? All right.
Dogs are dumb, Dean.
He likes cats. He's a cat guy.
Bear got his nuts cut off the other day.
Oh, the poor bastard.
So he's wearing he's wearing a spandex kind of suit to keep him from licking.
T's and P's to Bear.
Don't you be licking, buddy.
You give him an extra rawhide for me today, would you? That's tough.
Yeah, we'll do that for you. Let's do the Pinder Report. The California edition of the Pinder Report.
Oh, lots of tomfoolery in here.
Oh, sure. Brought to you by Village Honda. From now until the end of the month, the folks at Village are it's the food drive for the veterans, the Veterans Food Bank of Calgary. They got a ridge line set up in the showroom. They want to fill that ridge line up. They're going to deliver those the food items. So all you need to do is swing by Village and drop off some non-perishable food items and help out the veterans. It's the Veterans Food Drive on now till the end of the month at Village Honda in the Northwest Auto Mall. Village Honda presents the Pinder Report.
Fellas, we start on Saturday night from Seattle. One man in his South Calgary basement and another in our glamorous Marta Loop studios. It was Afterburner.
Johnny Gaudreau sat for about the last 17 minutes of the third period in Columbus's game tonight.
According to head coach Pascal Vincent, Gaudreau was one of the guys that wasn't really going. And so he was a spectator for a lot of the evening. And this is year 2 of a 7-year deal in scenic Columbus, Ohio.
Just bring him back. Just find some way to bring. Conroy loves him. Just find a way to get him back here. Shouldn't have left him in the first place. Is anybody else wearing number 13? Like, I'm sure we'll get the numbers things figured out, and we can.
Weirder things have happened. These guys kept bringing back Jokinen and Prost back in the day repeatedly. I think Kevin Dahl played here multiple times. The general manager played here on 2 separate stints.
I see, there it is. Like the jilted lover thing, even on Afterburner, it's not over, Dean. Look at you guys stirring up the rumor mill, hey?
I'm having a hard time with it even still.
That's our Johnny. You keep bringing it up.
That's our Johnny.
You're right. I know, and you said it. That top line 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, 16 months ago, best line in the league. You have nothing that looks like a top line right now. Oh!
I'm gonna get to work on this.
Are you?
Yeah, please do. Yeah, get Connie.
Scored his first goal of the season the other night into an empty net, then gets benched. Come home, Johnny. Come on home.
Jonathan Huberto doesn't have to worry about buying a coffee in Columbus and getting hassled. Let's go.
Come here.
Swap.
Yeah, swap the 2 of them out. Even eat some of the dough. We were going to pay Johnny 10.5, so we'll eat 2 of.
That's right.
Let him go.
Some transaction pike bombs for you here, Dino. Flames sending down 3 of their best players. Oh my goodness, the heartbreak.
What
Zary, Pospisil, Decimo. Just kidding, guys. It's just to get some cap space. They'll be back up. It's a few days off. Paper transaction only, suggesting Pike. And yeah, they'll accrue some cap space, and these guys will be back against Nashville. I expect they've all played well. The kids have been good.
Well, you don't have to fly them out, right?
No, you send them down the hall to the Heats.
Otherwise, you need your WestJet tickets and all that stuff to prove that you sent them down.
Is that right? Yeah.
Hey, the Heats are just down the hall.
They gotta punch their code in the door once, and they're good. They're sent down.
That's right.
Aces, love it.
Hey, Rhett, you needed those WestJet receipts.
Had to hand
to prove that you'd been sent down.
Yeah.
Well, here's despite the win and the good vibes, this is still where the Flames sit in the league as we take a look at the upside down standings.
Oilers got us again, the bastards.
I know. Honestly, the only thing that'll screw this up for the Flames, if they do end up getting a high pick, if it's somehow the Oilers get a higher one and win the lottery.
Could you imagine?
There'd be an outcry.
What in the flying F is going on around here?
Yeah, no, not in for that. I'm in for them putting on a hard charge and finishing 9th in the West. I'm fully in on that one, please. The Pacific Division, we talked about it. Might be sneaky better than you think. And we thought some teams, boy, we know they're good. Well, we were wrong on Edmonton. But how about the Ducks? Have you seen the start they've had? Frank the Tank Vetrano's been good. Troy Terry's been good. They've got a great young crop of D-men coming. This Verbeek squad had a nice little start here, Dino.
Everybody's hard on old Pat Verbeek. This guy marches to the beat of his own drum. Maybe he knows what he's doing.
He was good at hockey. I don't know why that would stop now, right?
I was more worried about the whole conference because if you're thinking wild card for any of your hopes, there's a lot of good teams between you and that last spot.
It is true. And that right now, as it stands, there'd already be 4 Pacific teams and potentially 5 here. It's been slower starts for some of those central teams.
And if the Canucks are good, that throws a wrench into a lot of people's plans.
Yeah, we never expected that ever.
Yeah, we thought bubble team, and we thought the Oilers were the team to beat. Wrong on both accounts there. Let's look at the schedule coming up this week. You noted it, Dean. It's pretty light. You think about the lull before the outdoor game, the gap afterwards. They really haven't played a ton, and that doesn't really change until this weekend when they go back-to-back in Ontario against the Leafs and Senators. It's a 3-game Eastern Canadian road trip after this one home game against Nashville. That's what we're looking at for the next, 2 weeks. Next week, I should say.
Yeah. Toronto.
Kick up your feet.
Game on Friday. Go watch the game. Go to the Vernon party.
You are going, eh? It's
maybe.
Hall of Fame?
I'm invited, but it's a long way.
You should go. It's a good boy.
I'm not
you.
I'm not you, Ryan. I don't need to talk
socialize.
To people.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm
you
a
did
nice
have a 15-minute PJ ride though there once.
Hey, if they're gonna send the jet, I'm in.
I'll talk to people. I don't give a shit.
Vernie,
give me the
jet.
Vernon jet. Yeah.
The Mike's Hard
Pep
jet. Is that what it would be?
Yeah. Who's serving drinks on the Vernon PJ?
Who isn't? That'd be a nice, refreshing ride. Speaking of the Leafs, Austin Matthews doing things, boys. Now, how often do you get 3 hat tricks in the first 11 games of the year? Austin Matthews did it this year. I don't know if Jack's got a mic in front of him. I want Jack to read the names of the guys that have done this because it's like way back into the early 1910s and 20s
goalies.
and 30s. Yeah, did they have a goalie then? Were there Rovers? Were you allowed a forward pass?
Cy Dene?
No.
Keep going.
It's
Babe Dye.
Babe Dye, yeah.
Lalonde?
No.
Joe Malone?
Yeah.
Odie Klighorn?
This is like old baseball pitchers.
These guys are
from the
AI.
1900s. These guys are AI.
Old Newsy Lalonde there back in 1718.
I love Newsy Lalonde.
I think he's a Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Yeah.
Newsy? I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah.
An old Odie Cleghorn.
Yeah, old tungsten arm O'Doyle. Yeah. This is some serious old baseball names.
Babe Dye. Your name is Babe?
Leghorn?
Yeah.
Foghorn Leghorn, he was good. Yeah, big power forward.
Yeah.
I say pass it, boy. I say boy.
And Brian Dennehy, he was great in Tommy Boy.
He was awesome at Tom.
Yeah.
Loved
Or
him.
Black Sheep. Which one was it?
Maybe both. Who
Tommy
knows?
Boy, yeah.
NFL, let's go. Fellas,
right.
quite a start for the newcomer in Minnesota. We saw Josh Dobbs move from the Cardinals to the Vikings after that Kirk Cousins season-ending injury. How about this? Dobbs didn't take a single rep with the offense in practice. That's how quick he got incorporated, or how late in the week. No snaps, had never thrown passes to anyone, and didn't know most of their full names. That's for next week. Why are we saying this? Well, the Vikings won, and he was great. That's a hell of a pickup for Minnesota. Game ball. There's your 2023 Super Bowl champs.
They were literally practicing the snapping of the football on the sideline with him in the sand. Because they did. I just got here 2 days ago.
Isn't that wild?
And still threw picks and turned the ball over. There was a safety that they gave up, but a wild finish. I don't know.
Got the dub.
Because didn't the Vikings start 0-4 or something like that?
They were 0-3, or I think they and the Chargers played week 3. They're both 0-2. It's like whoever loses this is toast.
And then they started winning, and then they had kind of an easy schedule, and then Cousins gets hurt.
Oh, now they're screwed. Maybe not. Okay. In that division especially, eh? Okay, so that was one good quarterback performance. How about the rookie quarterback performance? C.J. Stroud has been sensational, fellas. Holy shiza. Highest single game passing rating by a rookie quarterback, 470 passing yards yesterday, most in NFL history. Youngest player ever with at least 450 passing yards in a game, and just the sixth player ever to record at least 450 passing yards and 5 touchdowns with no picks. He's a rookie. What a steal. This guy didn't go one.
And he did some Mahomes shit at the end of that game where they had to basically march the field with under a minute to go. No problem.
Did it.
Playing with an iPad on his wrist as well.
Yeah. That's,
cool.
That's an old
iPod. He's
iPod.
hammering Candy Crush. Yeah. If Steinberg could do post-game hammering Candy Crush, this guy can do this, right?
I can get 1,500 songs on this thing.
Okay, let's move. Good news on the quarterback front so far. Not here. Danny Dimes. He gone. And that leaves like
another...
Tommy DeVito?
That was another one where you could see the ligaments snap in the leg when he planted his foot.
Good night, sweet prince. Been a rough go for the Giants. Yeah.
Abel, just come back to the Bills and just forget this New York experiment.
I think everyone would like that, Rhett. You're not wrong. He was a great coordinator. It's been a tough go for the Giants. And they can't even go to Tyrod right now, that young up-and-comer, 33-year-old or whatever, because he's on IR. So it's going to be Tommy DeVito, some rookie. We'll see.
Joe's boy.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's move to the NBA. I don't know if you guys saw they've got the in-season tournament going on now, which is hard to explain. I don't know that anyone knows it is. I do know this about it. They are going absolutely insane on the courts. Look at this game. Look at the courts. This is not AI, Rhett. This is real. It's like, okay, so this is not regular season. This is an in-season tournament. Okay, now I know. And just to illustrate, it wasn't just them. This is the entire league. Look at these. Is this not crazy? NBA is not afraid to do anything, are they? Like, they're just better at marketing than all the other leagues, aren't they?
And the NHL is like, no, you don't wear any different jerseys in warm-up, you guys.
You can't use that tape. And yeah, there it is. There's the old Windows theme.
That is pretty much it.
That's the courts for sure. Okay, we'll go to the CFL. Tough ending for our pal, Bo Levi Mitchell in Hamilton as they, let him rot on the bench as their season came to an end in the East semifinal.
Playing you're fresh right now, but if you're not playing your highest paid player on the team in a playoff game, I don't foresee myself probably being here. But I love this team. I love this organization. I hope I can be here in some capacity because I would love to be a part of it again. But that's obviously for other people to decide.
Said both things there, didn't he? You're not going to pay your highest paid player. I probably don't want to be here, but also I'd like to be a part of this team. I feel for the guy. Big deal.
I say I love it here. I hate it here, and I love it here.
It's two more years around
back,
$500,000.
I absolutely love it here.
Yeah,
hate it.
You probably remember how much money do they owe me?
Is it 2 more years and a half?
I love it here.
I do want to be back.
It's so great.
You don't pay backups $500,000 Canadian, boys.
Nope,
get that man a TV suit and a wig. Let's go.
Yeah, get him some makeup and a wig.
Let's do it. Hey, look at this. They gave up on the brackets. They fucking quit after we pile drove them for 2 weeks. Look at this. They can't. They're like, we're done. We're never going to do a bracket anymore. Here's what we're doing. So the bottom were the games that just happened. And now at the top, there we are. What a league. Bombers, Lions in the West. And the Owls and the impressive 16-win Corey Mace-led Argonauts. Let's go, fellas.
Attaboy Macer.
Attaboy Mace, love you. Okay.
It's no good because he never comes down to the Bills games now.
That's true. You got to get the right bye week lined up for him. He's done with those.
Well, they put alumni in those shitty seats in the stadium where you can only see half the field, so I don't blame them.
We got lots of nonsense here, fellas. A full weekend full of idiots from around the world. We start with Rhett's favorite league. This is the Slap League women's division. Made history. People are signing up to do this, guys. I don't know why. Holy shit. How much money would you have to make to do that? Or to let your wife do that?
It's weird because I get why some things are popular, and maybe I'm getting so old. I don't know that I see this one. I dig Dana White and everything that he does, and he's behind all this, and he thinks it's what it is. I guess it's massive and it's huge, and that I don't know. I don't.
Dana White's a businessman.
I don't get it at all. I'm happy to watch someone maybe get, but even that, it's like
What about gymnastics, though? Are you more of a traditional sport guy, like gymnastics? Yeah. So here we are. Yeah. So this is people warming up outside. Outdoor gymnastics, new event here.
The uneven bars and
this is just one bar.
The rings.
No. Oh! It's not supposed to bend that way. That is.
That's Cairo.
Now let's see if Jack can isolate the frame where he breaks his neck. Oh!
You can hear every vertebrae like cracking.
See, that's not supposed to go that way. Dear me. Okay, next.
He didn't have the.
He's the chalk.
The chalk.
Yeah, the chick from the slap took all the chalk. She was the slap champion. She
right
had
in
it on
the
her
jib.
hands. We've been talking a lot about kangaroos in Australia, what with Aussie Brad and some of the ripped kangaroos we've seen. Now, do you remember how Australia got settled, Rhett?
By crooks and criminals.
It was a penal colony. Maybe it was the same for the animals? Look at this.
Jesus.
That's it. That's the yoked up guy in jail that does chest press all day. Scary.
I hate them.
Sticking with Australia, this is how you light a fire in the Outback, Dean.
All right.
Some bogans here.
Is that PVC pipe?
Yeah, there's a kid holding on to it.
Holding
Careful,
on to
kid.
it.
Careful. No, I think that's Aussie Brad and his crew. They got.
I don't think they joke about fires out in Australia anymore. Didn't they just have?
Oh yeah, bad one.
That's a big clearing there. That looks like they're doing that in the right spot. Let's hope. Yeesh.
Wow.
Dean's a big collector of animals. We know he's big into dogs. He's also got wolves, and he took his wolf to go see a tiger. This nearly got ugly. Nearly. Look at this. We're good. All right, let's go find some shit to play with.
Yeah. That tiger, he's the bouncer at the club.
Yeah.
Listen.
Hey, now.
You don't want this. You don't want this to happen.
Wolf, I think, realized he was out of his weight class pretty quick there.
Let's go get you some street meat, get you a hot dog from the cart, get you in a cab, and we'll send you home. Because you don't want to do this.
And finally, we've got...
But my bitch is in there! Your bitch is not in there.
We had some fighting here, too. Tough to break these guys up. This is an action photo taken yesterday.
Love it.
An alligator coming in hot.
Arnold Palmer West.
Oh, baby.
Right on top of the head? Is that how that went?
Oh, yeah. That was... We call that a bullseye.
West course there? Like,
no, Indian Ridge. It's a beauty, though. Oh, baby. So, fellas are having fun, living it up. That's your Pinder Report.
I am clearly mismanaging the income that I'm getting from this podcast.
Grandpa of the year over here. This is Grandpa, not Dad.
Christ almighty. Did Grandpa take you to the Amalfi Coast as well? Is that how that worked?
No, that was wifey. Yeah, that was a different one too.
God damn it!
I get the boys to the odd Wranglers game though.
Village Honda from now until the 10th of November. It's the used car clear out at Village. Save up to $4,000 plus $1,000 winter tire credit. Over 100 units in stock. It's in the Northwest Auto Mall. It's your dealership for life. It is Village Honda. Well done. I've got just a couple things that I need to do here. You mentioned, I guess it was before the show, before we started doing this thing, about Jay Rosehill. And this will kind of dovetail into tell us about the show you're doing with Jay.
Okay, it's called Department of Discipline. It usually drops Thursday mornings. It's part of the hockeyfights.com network, which is a part of our big network, the Nation's network, that our shows are on. Jay lives in Olds. He zips into Calgary a couple times a week for work, but certainly more known for throwing fists for the Leafs and Flyers than anything. And it's a show just based on discipline, fights, hits, hockey culture, and he does not pull punches, just like his career. He'll trade them.
And he was trading them here. This is going to be because we're doing for Finning Cat a little I dig it. Now he went off last week. I don't know if you saw the hit with the defenseman there, Liljegren. Got his wheels taken out from under him. Got his foot taken out from under him by Brad Marchand. He goes into the end boards. He is injured because of it.
Gone.
This did not rub Mr. Rosehill the right way. So this is a little rant for Finning. I dig this rant. Finning Canada is your local dealer for cat equipment built to handle work in Western Canada for heavy equipment for the job site. Visit the cat rental store, chat with the knowledgeable staff, and get what you need. Buy parts, rent tools, and power solutions. Visit finning.com for a location near you. Finning Cat, and of course, Cat is a proud sponsor of the National Hockey League. Here is Mr. Rosehill from Friday.
Do that. He should be getting mauled by a team, and he should be getting accosted by the entire Maple Leafs roster. Instead, he's going by their bench, doing a bit of this. Look at them all. Look at their captain, looking at his feet. He's chirping off. They should be all standing on their feet, kicking the boards. They're all sitting there like there's a freaking delay of game or the kids are shoveling the ice or something. They should be chomping at the bit to kill that guy. Does this team give a shit about each other? Together, they're garbage. Until they start playing for each other and giving a shit about the jersey that they're wearing that goes back to World War I, because that's sickening, watching a guy snap his leg in half, and then the guy, the perpetrator, the dirtiest rat in the league that everyone hates to play against, come over and do whatever he's saying to the bench, and everyone just looks at their goddamn skates. I hate seeing that with a team I care about. It's embarrassing.
Attaboy, Rosie. Attaboy.
Rosie.
Got their goddamn skates. Jay Rosehill, ladies and gentlemen.
He's not wrong. And I'm watching Jay Rosehill have a punch in the face contest with Brian McGrattan.
Yes.
Yep.
Episode 1 of our show, he talked about that one. He said, you know what? Like, I just hate when you get the whole building gets all that energy for a fight and then guys just grab onto each other. I thought maybe I'd let him start rights. I'd go lefts. You got to have some balls.
Attaboy, Jay. I dig it. Little I dig it there for Finning Cat. Finning, go and check out their website to get in on that. Now, you had mentioned a week or two ago there was somebody you wanted me to find a scrap retro of a young man, maybe a former teammate, has a son in the Ontario Hockey League.
Oh yeah, Bolton.
Found one. Let's go back. Here's
tough.
Here's a Tilly with Eric Bolton's son.
New to the league, playing for London. He's in the green, and this other guy's the brother. Oh no, this is different.
This one just happened.
Okay.
Right hands coming from Jackson Stewart. Now Sawyer Bolton gets his rights going.
Sawyer.
Oh. Jackson Stewart over top. Takes the bucket off. Sultan comes back. Knocks him down. Stewart's not
Look at
done.
this.
Sawyer Bolton. Jackson Stewart. Oh, this is a heavy.
Because retro, I remember my buddy Sean Yakimishin, who you know, he said, what makes you tough? It's not winning every fight. It's maybe you lose some and you keep coming back, or you take a few in a fight and you keep going. And he took a few right in the button, and look at him. Let's go. He's loving it. Like it's the pedigree. Runs in the family.
That comes from the family, and him and his brother are both on that team.
No way.
Yeah.
Look at like bang, bang.
Like he takes a bunch.
Bang.
He throws them like his old man. That's for sure.
He's got 2 or 3 chances to just wrap up and end this thing. And he's like, no, we're not done here. Right there. And look, he disengages again.
There's no defense, right? Remember talking about London. One of the best guys at it was Brandon Prust. He would be able to hold you off and just get it right in that spot on the jersey where you had to have him. And he'd get it every time. This guy's not playing any defense. It's just swinging right from his heels. So there's 2 of those guys.
I dig that.
Ooh, yeah, Ryder and Sawyer.
Goodness. Another thing I also dig, this is good This is our buddy Andrew McBride. This is very self-serving.
This is so good.
A lot.
Andrew
Huge
McBride
Seahawks fan.
used to play for the Roughnecks. He's in our football draft in our little fantasy pool, and he is a big Seattle Seahawks fan. And apparently went to see his team on the road. They were taking on the Baltimore Ravens this week in Baltimore. The Ravens had their way with the Seahawks.
Oh.
And this is the video of our buddy Andrew enjoying the game.
And so context, Dino, his wife, huge Ravens fan. So she's the one standing singing next to him. He's just taking it from every angle here.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And everyone's
What a
been
beauty.
there when you decide, hey, we're going to go into enemy territory, and then you just get snot bubbled. Fuck me. Poor Brider. Poor
What a gem.
Brider. So now I sent through some Betway bets, but are we going to do our football look back on the week? What did you want to do here, Jack?
We can do all the above.
I didn't go back and look at all the picks that we made.
Okay,
tomorrow.
We'll do that tomorrow.
Okay, so let's just do our Betway. Get the Betway app on your phone. Betway bets. Betway. Bet the responsible way with Betway. Good old boys at Betway. I was busy on Sunday. I didn't get through. But boy, if I would have, I would have really come through.
Sure. You had about 5 picks. I'm sure you got 3 right in there.
Gosh,
somewhere.
you know how it is, right? The days when it's I'm going to miss kickoff. I don't have time. And this would have been the week. I wouldn't have been here. I'd have been with Pinder in Palm Springs, walking around with my tarp off.
Yeah,
Let's take a look at our Betway bets for tonight. We've got some hockey. We got some football. I am going with the Monday nighter. Keenan Allen under 74.5 receiving yards, paying -115. I like that Jets. The Jets against the pass, I believe, have the second best. They've given up the second fewest receiving yards in the National Football
that's a good
League.
D.
So I'm going to take Keenan Allen to get under the 74.5. And then Justin Herbert has thrown, I believe he's thrown 3 picks in his last 3 games. I'm going to take Herbert with over 0.5 interceptions. That's paying +100.
I like both those bets as a Chargers guy.
I bet
you're
do.
Playing right into their weaknesses there. That is well done. By the way, sorry about your Bears loss. You're 0-1 as a fan now, Dino.
Covered. They covered.
Does that help?
Yep.
Okay.
Big
All
cover.
right. Here are my bets. I'm going NHL. Let's jump on the Vancouver bandwagon. They're red hot, fellas. Red hot. Elias Pettersson, anytime goal, +140. And Quinn Hughes. This guy has been sensational. He's had multiple 3-point games. 2 apples +300. I'm in on that.
Those are our Betway bets of the day. The Betway bets. Just looking at. What is the shirt you've got on?
It's white.
Is it a band?
And it is getting
not
sweaty.
Not you. The other
thank
guy.
you. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm the king.
Is that what it is?
He's the king of
Wasn't sure what it
podcasts.
was. Yeah.
The podcast king.
Podcast king. The pierogi
I
king.
think it's probably a cheap shirt.
The baloney king.
Found at the top of the pile.
That's right. Or I thought maybe the Shoveler was back making some T-shirts again.
No.
Let's do some what's on the menu here for DoorDash. We kind of laid it out there for you what you can do. But with DoorDash, ordering is easy. You open the DoorDash app, choose what you want from wherever you want it from, and the items will be left safely outside your door. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more. That's when you download the DoorDash app and use that promo code Nation25, Nation25 as the promo code. That will trigger that deal for you, and you're welcome. Let's take a look at what's on the menu for DoorDash tonight.
It's 5:15 kickoff. Jets. I guess it's 6:15. Apologies. Wrong time zone here. Chargers and Jets. This will be a fun one. That Jets team has somehow survived kinda the loss of Aaron Rodgers, who we know is going to be back sooner than we think. Chargers have been a disaster. It's a 4-3 team against a 3-4 team. Later on tonight, let's jump on Edmonton and Vancouver as well. That should be a ton of fun. See if the Oilers can get their first win in their 3rd try against the Canucks. That one, an 8 o'clock start from Vancouver. A couple of good ones on the menu.
There you go. Once again, Nation 25, Nation 25. That's 25% off. 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download that DoorDash app in the App Store and use the promo code Nation 25. So when are you telling the kids about the mouse?
We haven't talked about that yet, but we need to strategize because I know my wife, she's going to want to steal the thunder here, but I feel like we should create a story about, we're going to LA to do this. And then as we wheel in, be like, oh, by the way, this is here. Do you think we should do this today?
Yeah.
Now, don't you think they want to join in the excitement, the buildup of it?
Well, that is the buildup to get that close. Let them see it and be like, no, we're just going right by. Guys, look out the other way. Okay, fine.
Dick move. Come on.
Dad's a jerk.
We'll see what Mama wants to do. She's got the trump card here.
Yeah,
there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Anyway, we head to LA tomorrow midday. We'll fight traffic for 3 hours. Fun.
So a couple days of that.
Yeah.
And then
see if we can't find a Friday activity on the beach somewhere and then back here.
Gotcha. How about you, Retro? What do you got going on? Yeah. Little Crown Royal. Yeah. Little Crown Royal. Why not? Doesn't make you bad, buddy. Does not make you bad.
Stay up for the effing Bills game last night. The time change and the late start got me. Halftime, I was out. Glad I was. But
no, I'm going to have one for you, fellas. You like blended or on the rocks? What's the move here? I need to know if I'm going to have one for you.
Rocks.
Rocks?
Salt on the rim. Rocks.
Yes.
A little tahini on the rim or just straight salt?
Whatever.
Okay.
I do like having a little. It's because then it's like a game. You kind of Tetris your way around the top, and then by the time you're done, it's time for another one. Delicious.
Love it.
All right, fellas. Barn Burner is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/FlamesNation and get on your way to being your best self. It is great news because guys are now, I think for a lot of us, are finally living with the fact and with the realization that it's okay to talk to people and to admit when things aren't perfect. I don't know. There wouldn't have been that long ago where how would we even describe what therapy was, let alone where to go and get it? It can be intimidating. It can be private. And that is why BetterHelp is a tremendous option for you. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, which is also a big thing. It's not easy to just kind of get away whenever. With BetterHelp, it's there for you. Just fill out a brief questionnaire. You'll get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. And therapy, it's more than just talking things out. You identify what the challenges are. Then you start building strategies. You get some coping skills to start helping you become the best version of yourself, to see some of those things that are coming down the road and being prepared for them, as opposed to the way it might be for you now. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/FlamesNation today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/FlamesNation. Awesome. So go Canucks.
Yes.
Go Chargers. Your Chargers. You don't care, eh?
I mean, it'd be nice to see them play well against a good defense, but like they can't stop the run, and like they're down to way down the depth chart for wide receivers now. I just feel like this is a lost season. I swear.
Yeah. If
I
you
kind of want to see the Jets hang around until Rodgers is back. To be honest,
Ryan.
If we're just on team storyline, that's it.
Yeah, cheer up, Ryan is right. Well, enjoy the place that you're going to.
Eventually, things will go your way, Pinder.
Yeah, you'll get a break. Just hang in there.
Keep rolling those dice. We'll eventually hit one.
Yep. Sounds good.
Love you,
Support
boys.
the sponsors. Get the vacation, the Barn Burner vacation at nationgear.ca. See Phoenix in January. Just hang in there, Ryan.
That's a work trip.
Sooner or later, you'll
work trip.
get out of here. Have a good day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, buddies.